Here's how close we got to World War III. That was not told to us, but now we've learned about it from the leaks. Russia nearly shot down a British spy plane near Ukraine, leaked document says. And although this is from the Washington Post, yet again, this is an article where they have one article and they kind of hide it behind everything else, and they try to direct you to the other ones. And this should have been nothing. The news cycle should have been nothing but this story for weeks. And this is not a story about evil Russia. Yes, I'm not saying there's no blame to go around. It's not that this blame is only on one side. But this is a story about how close we are to World War III. If a U.S. or UK or NATO plane gets shot down by Russia, then all of NATO will be by charter, by their own designation of how the NATO system works, will be drawn into the conflict full scale. And you don't like if a UK plane, a spy plane, gets shot down by Russia. Do you think that these leaders, the same ones I was just talking about, do you think they're going to be sane and calm enough to go, hey, let's back off? Maybe it was an accident. Maybe we're on the border of Russia with spy planes. And maybe we shouldn't obliterate everyone over this. No, I wouldn't trust these people to de-escalate a fight at a little league game. They don't de-escalate shit. All they do is escalate. I once saw a girl in a t-shirt that said, down with the D. And then it said, destruction of patriarchy, or I love the D, or destruction of patriarchy. And I like that t-shirt, but I feel like there should be another one that says, I love the D, de-escalation, because we could use some of that. We could use some maturity, but we won't get that. And so in these near misses, it's just, honestly, I mean, let me know in the comment thread. Do you think this is the closest we've been to nuclear war since the Cuban Missile Crisis? Because you have nuclear powers in a proxy war with planes flying on each other's borders, fighter planes, spy planes. You don't know the response that is going to happen if one of these gets shot down. This happened and we were not told about it. A Russian fighter jet nearly shot down a British surveillance plane last year, according to a leaked U.S. military document circulating online, an incident more significant than was previously disclosed, and that could have drawn the U.S. and its NATO allies directly into the Ukraine war. The near miss occurred on September 29th off the coast of Crimea. The document, one of dozens in a trove of leaked Pentagon documents, has triggered a justified investigation, refers to the incident as a near shootdown of UK RJ, a reference to the rivet joint moniker, common for RC-135 reconnaissance planes. British Defense Minister Ben Wallace disclosed the incident to Parliament's House of Commons in October, saying that two Russian Su-27 fighter jets had intercepted the RC-135 in international airspace over the Black Sea, flying recklessly. With one plane coming within 15 feet of the British. So I love this is a little bit of propaganda. So these Russian jets are flying recklessly, even though they're on their own border, right? I know they say it's international airspace, but it's international airspace next to Russia. How would the U.S. respond if there were Russian jets in the international airspace off the coast of D.C., off the East Coast? Do you think we'd be like, listen, it was international airspace. Let's just let them do whatever they want? Fucking no. We'd lose our shit. It'd be pandemonium. We'd probably shoot them down. We'd probably just go running headlong into nuclear war. And And so they come across this spy plane that's in international air, but next to the Russian border. And they clearly try and buzz it, basically, to get it, to show they mean business. One of the Russian jets then released a missile at a distance, Wallace told lawmakers then, but he did not describe the incident as a near shoot-down, attributed the missile launch to a technical malfunction, and said he had spoken with senior Russian defense officials about it. So whether this was an intentional kind of like fire a shot over their heads, that's the thing, like what you do with a gun, because I mean, not you, but somebody that's more of a maniac would do with a gun, is you shoot over the person's head to show them, hey, I fucking mean business. Well, so whether this was that or this was literally an accidental whoopsie, hit the trigger, which somehow can still happen. I don't quite understand why and I realize this is Russian, but the US seems to do this shit too. I feel like there should be some more precautions in there than just like, oh no, I was taking a leak and I hit the button that said kill the 100,000 people. I didn't realize, because my bad. But anyway, whether it was an accidental firing or it was a show we mean business firing, either way, again, this shit can lead to nuclear war, and there are no winners in nuclear war. It is a zero-sum game. We all die, or the ones that survive wish they hadn't. Okay? I mean, do you really, if you survive a nuclear war, and you're sitting out there in the wastelands, wandering around, wide-eyed, wondering how many Pop-Tarts you have to get through it, let's see, this will last me a solid week and a half if I really ration it. I'll save the strawberry for last because that's my favorite. What? I mean, in a true all-out nuclear war, like, it's a nuclear winter. Like, the crops die. It's like climate change, except we're doing that in, a span of 50 years, and this will happen in a span of 1. It's horrific. And we've put ourselves on the brink of it. We've helped create a proxy war. We have created a coup in Ukraine, made them a vassal state, made them a puppet state, filled it with nuclear arms and not nuclear arms, but filled it with weaponry and NATO weaponry and U.S. weaponry on Russia's border. And even though they said, hey, that's a red line. That's a red line for us. That's going to be a red line. Hey, we'd like to say that's going to be a red line. Hey, you putting all those weapons there is really a red line. That's going to be a red line. We'd like to say this is a red line. That's the closest I can get to a Russian accent at the moment. Even though they say that again and again, we were like, is it though? Is it? And they were like, yeah, it actually is. And then it was. And then we go, oh, that's funny how close we are to nuclear war. Great. But again, we were lied to about this, or rather, they didn't even tell us that this happened. Under NATO's treaty, if a member of the military alliance is a victim of an armed attack, all members of the alliance will consider it an attack and collectively respond. This is how this shit spirals out of control so quickly. You have a military alliance. You have a lot of countries involved. You have a lot of young men, 20-year-olds flying fighter jets. Ask yourself right now. For those of you, for those of you who are 20, you might not really understand. But for those of you, let's say over 30, ask yourself whether you would trust a 20-year-old driving your car. Would you? Like, when you drop it, I know this is only really common in LA mainly. I mean, it's the only place I've seen it, like, almost everywhere. But you have to valet your car a lot of the time because there's like zero parking in LA. And so you're like, fuck, $15 just to park? But anyway, do you really feel comfortable giving your keys to, even if you have a shit car, even you're driving a piece of shit, still, you feel comfortable giving your keys to a 20-year-old? I don't feel comfortable with a 20-year-old driving me in the elevator. When you get in at a like one of those hotels that's trying to seem really nice when it's not. And so there's still a guy there that pushes the elevator buttons. And you're like, what? Your job is just to push the elevator button? Anyway, if he's 20, I think he might crash us. I think we may end up crash somewhere on the side of the road or elevator box. I don't know.